Good morning. Hopefully, the technology that we have working today is going, for me at least, is going to be work out so this service goes off a little smoothly. I forgot, I wasn't able to print out the script today, so I have my phone. So I have this technology that I'm using. We have the technology of our Zoom, and I have the technology, hopefully, of my trifocals that will hopefully allow me to see the screen here and some of the printed word that I have. So, welcome to this physical space. Tradition has named this a church, but we recognize that we are a collection of human beings that make one community, a gathering of love and spirit. And though we are at different stages of life, we still feel the connection that is our spiritual DNA. We remember those who came before us. Our ancestors are many, and their collective memories guide and direct us through all of our days. We are conscious that the land that we occupy is borrowed and shared. The universe has granted us a perfect place to grow our food, give us shelter, give us space for spiritual practice. To that end, we are also conscious that we must protect the land that we borrow, so that generations to come can grow and thrive in harmony and love with the universe that is. We also recognize that the land is occupied from the first people the Europeans called Alinawik, but who called themselves Inoka. Others have come to invade and seize, while others to live in harmony and share. Our land is also baptized in the blood, sweat, and a river of tears from enslaved Africans who were forced from their homes and the home of their ancestors to become chattel property here in this land. May our spiritual practice recognize these relationships as we strive to live in harmony with our past, our present, and forever conscious of the future that we create. We are a spiritual people. We are a people of faith. We are a people of love. And we are Unitarian Universalists. For those who don't know, my name is John Herndon. I will be speaking today. And now we'll have the prelude. Joy Heft will play the prelude. The lit chalice suggests the transformations that take place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join in the chalice lighting words on your screen above. We hallow this time together, kindling the lamp of our heritage. Our opening words this morning are the proposed eighth principle of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Our first hymn this morning is number 6 in the Gray Hymnal, Just as Long as I Draw Breath, and it's number 6 in the Gray Hymnal. For our meditation this morning, I'll be doing a song on the guitar, but first, I'd like to put us into that meditative state. Let us calm our breath, and then let it lengthen. Emptying ourselves as a way to prepare to be filled. Whatever last week delivered, whatever next week will hold, let us focus on our breath. Let us focus on the here and now. Let us come back home to ourselves and all that's already been true. So as we meditate, I would like to do the song Imagine by John Lennon this morning. Hopefully this will go well. The only time I get my guitar out is when I play it here, so hopefully it goes okay. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the living for today. Imagine no more countries. Isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. As we continue our meditation now, we want to think about joys and concerns. Again, we woke up this morning to the horrific news of another mass shooting committed by another white supremacist in Buffalo, New York. From what I heard this morning, 13 people are dead. At least 11 are people of color. This person came from 4 hours away to commit this heinous act again. So we keep the families of those victims in our hearts. So as we contemplate our joys and concerns today, let us take time in the coffee hour or after church to speak to each other about what specifically we may have. But I would invite you to come forward, coming up down this aisle and up this aisle to the electronic candles that are here, and to light one of those if you feel called to do so. Our sermon this morning I titled, Justice, O Justice, Where Have You Gone? Meditation on Current Events. Seems like there's daily no lack of issues, items that come up in our daily lives that don't cry out for social justice. I want to give you two perspectives on the recent leak of the draft opinion overturning Roe versus Wade, and connect this to some of the other right-wing sanctioned violence that is occurring in our political lives and in our just daily lives today. The first one of these is from Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, who is the Senior Minister for Public Theology and Transformation at Middle Church, which is a Presbyterian church in New York City. In March, the state of Texas sent investigators to Amber and Adam Briggle's home, saying that they abused their trans son because they provided him gender-affirming care. In April, Texas police arrested Lizelle Herrera and charged her with murder for an alleged self-induced abortion. These violations are part of the same story, an effort by white and evangelical Christians to fashion their articles of faith into law. The leaked Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade is a grotesque and violent, but is also part of a broader campaign to deny people's right to body autonomy. Until we fully grapple with that truth, we both badly underestimate the danger and inhibit the radical solidarity that will get us free. Gender and reproductive health care are intimate and complex. They're a potent mixture of innate biology, psychological development, and spiritual discernment, as unique as the people who shaped them and shaped by them. A trans man who seeks an abortion because he and his partner aren't ready to have children, a woman who gets one after she was raped, a child who feels intense gender dysphoria as she's approaching puberty, a working mother who seeks an abortion because her family is as full as she can afford. Each deserves specific and nuanced care that honors their particular needs. One need they hold in common: for the government to stay the hell out of what happens to their bodies. Instead, white evangelicals have orchestrated a decades-long attempt to legislate their religious beliefs, turning people's personhood into a battleground for political warfare. They can try to cloak dogma and claims of universal morality or appeals to 17th century English law, as was in the opinion that was leaked. But these are specific faith claims they're attempting to force onto the rest of the country through fascist violence. The only way to implement the social control they're planning is through massive expansion of the carceral system and government invasion into the most private details of people's lives. All to satisfy fundamentalist beliefs, the conviction that life begins at birth isn't scientific, it's religious. And legislation targeting trans kids isn't grounded in any genuine concern for their safety. The American Academy of Pediatrics overwhelmingly agrees that gender-affirming care is crucial for children's health. It's a doctrinal claim about what makes someone a boy or a girl. Biology has nothing to do with it. We're fools if they think they're going to stop at Roe. The people who organized and fought for this historic reversal in our fundamental rights will only be content if the entire country follows their own twisted theology. Marriage equality is in grave danger. Loving parents will be charged as abusers. Women will be forced to bear children they do not want, and every miscarriage will become a potential murder investigation. All of this tramples every person's religious liberty to discern their gender and whether they wish to bring new life into this world. Moreover, the history of this country should make us incredibly alarmed by any attempt to wield state power over people's bodies. From millions of black women who were legally raped and made to bear children against their will during the slavery era, to the hundreds of thousands of Puerto Rican women who were forcibly sterilized, America has repeatedly demonstrated the savage violence which it is capable. But this moment's wide-ranging threat also points to our deepest promise. We are all in the same fight together. Jewish people whose religious traditions enshrine abortion rights in thousands of years of halakhic tradition. Trans siblings and all the people who love them. Queer atheists in same-sex marriages. Christians who believe every gender expression is created in the Imago Dei. Disabled people still denied bodily autonomy. The poor folks and black folks who always suffer most acutely. Every person who believes they should control what happens to their uterus. We may face different challenges, but they stem from the same evil corrupting our public life. And none of us will win the freedoms we deserve unless we do it together. Liberation is collective. This means that no person is free while their neighbor is shackled. But it also means that we will never break these chains without a universal and reflexive commitment to one another's thriving. Abortion rights and gender care help people achieve the fullness of who they are and who they know they are called to be. And we don't need to choose and prioritize whose freedoms matter most. That's a lie to make us fight amongst ourselves instead of seizing the power that we could wield. When Lizelle Herrera was held on $500,000 bail, it was the Frontera Fund, a Rio Grande Valley grassroots reproductive rights advocacy organization that organized a crowd to gather outside the jail and pressure the DA into dropping the charges. Now and always, it's a communal bonds of solidarity that keep us safe. But Amber and Adam Briggle's crisis shows the limits of what individual people and communities can do to fight structural violence. Speaking to PBS, Adam Briggle contemplated fleeing the state. If we have to become political refugees in our own country, that's what we will do. But I don't know where it is safe. It's time for our elected officials, Democrats and Republicans, to fulfill their responsibilities in Washington and immediately codify abortion rights and the Equality Act as federal law. There must be clear and unequivocal message. People's bodily autonomy is not up for political debate. These laws violate millions of Americans' religious liberty, international human rights treaties, and basic human decency. We will not cower before the fundamentalists, and we will unite in fierce love to ensure they do not determine our future. The second meditation I want to read is from a Catholic perspective, and this is from Mary Hunt, who is a feminist Catholic theologian. No matter how Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization is decided finally, restrictions unto bans on abortion will be courtesy of the institutional Catholic Church. United States Catholic Conference of Bishops, their pro-life activities committee, and colleagues will and ought to take credit for rolling back a constitutionally guaranteed right, causing immeasurable harm, especially to poor people, and putting their preeminent priority issue over the diverse views and needs of a nation. Congratulations, or something. These few Catholics set their sight on this goal 4 decades ago. They have worked relentlessly and squandered resources that belong to the whole Catholic community, including the 57% who believe that abortion should be legal. I dissent from the bishop's efforts, as do many pro-choice Catholics who join millions of Americans in working to stem this tide. Many factors converge to bring about this massive, despicable assault on the rights of women and other pregnant persons. There is a very real possibility that this judicial shift may affect those using birth control, those marrying interracially, and as same-sex couples. But let history record that among the prime architects, engineers, and perpetrators were conservative Catholics, especially the Supreme Court justices who were groomed for their votes. As a Catholic theologian who was a long-time public proponent of reproductive justice, including sex education, birth control, and abortion, I join millions who were not surprised by the draft's tone and content. Still, it is shocking in a religiously pluralistic society that not only are 7 of 9 justices Catholic by tradition and or practice, but that the solid religious grounding of many other faith traditions is simply ignored. Many Christian denominations, among them Presbyterians, Methodists, United Church of Christ, are committed to reproductive justice. The overwhelming majority of Jews, 83%, support legal abortion, and according to the Talmud, a fetus does not gain the status of personhood until birth. Yet these and the views of non-religious pro-choice people are apparently trumped by the conservative Catholic formation and allegiances of the majority of the justices. Thorough damage assessment cannot be done until the decision is final and public. But if the leaked draft statement is any indication, as Harvard legal scholar Lawrence Tribe thinks it is, we know what's on the minds and in the hearts of the Catholic justices, save for Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who was stalwartly in favor of reproductive rights. Some of them were brought up from pups in an institutional religious Catholic church-supported legal culture. The Trump trio, Justices Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, are well positioned for this and future such decisions. How coincidental it is that the 2 men graduated from the Jesuit Georgetown Preparatory School. Then Gorsuch went to Columbia and Harvard Law. Kavanaugh is, as they say, a double Yale. They burnished their legal credentials while maintaining their Catholic bona fide. Barrett was spotted earlier in her career at Rhodes College and then went up the ladder at Notre Dame Law School, where she joined a faculty which included John M. Finnis, who is footnoted in the draft. These justices are surely aware of it, if not part of a subset of Catholics for whom outlawing abortion is a passion. Among the most extreme manifestations is the town of Ave Maria, Florida, with its eponymous law school dedicated to developing lawyers who will argue anti-abortion cases. The city is a planned community and is funded by developers and the foundation of Domino's pizza magnate Thomas Monahan. No pharmacy in town sells birth control. The law school where Clarence Thomas delivered the first Ave Maria lecture, Sam Alito helped plan the curriculum, and Robert Bork taught, is a far cry from the Ivies on admissions criteria and bar exam passage rates. But the Catholic majority and the natural law studies it includes prepare the farm teams that try reproduction-related cases that win their way to the High Court. We cannot remain silent. There are many Catholic reactions to the leaked document as expected, and in line with the significant victory that the Catholic right has seemingly achieved, the bishops are crowing. It has long been evident that most politicians and voters could care less what the bishops think about poverty, nuclear weapons, or war, so they've instrumentalized pregnant bodies as their way to stay in the public debate. Having created the problem, they have the temerity to offer to pay for pregnant women's needs. The same bishops who've sought to eliminate women's choices want to be seen as heroic and generous by offering pregnant women money instead of rights. It would be ludicrous if it weren't so despicable. Jesuit Thomas Rees offered an obtuse analysis. He passed over any mention of the damage to real people who are pregnant and simply advised the bishops to switch their political allegiance from the Republicans who oppose abortion to the Democratic Party, which he thinks is more in keeping with the Catholic social tradition. As he put it so indelicately, the bishops got what they wanted out of this marriage. It's time to move on. Where have women heard that before? Maybe he has an annulment in mind. The price is surely high, and it's the women who pay that price. The best Catholic response to date has come from the Midwestern-based church reform group Call to Action. Launched in 1976, it's part of a dialogue initiated by the Catholic bishops and lay people over Vatican II. But when participants at the 3-day conference joined social issues like poverty, sexism, and militarism with ecclesial issues like birth control, homosexuality, and the ban on women priests, most of the bishops disappeared. Annual CTA meetings kept some edge-of-the-pew Catholics in conversation with one another, but the group has not, to my knowledge, been particularly public on abortion. But in a recent letter that they admitted may startle our members and supporters, CTA declared the content of the leaked draft represents another turn toward state-sponsored violence, racism, and misogyny. They invite Catholics to dialogue again. We cannot remain silent. I agree heartily. Catholics who support reproductive rights are a majority, though many have not yet been public about it. Now is the time to clarify the Bishops' Conference does not speak for us. The Catholics have diverse views on this and other issues. The bishops are welcome to their views and their individual votes, but they do not speak for more than themselves. It's time for Catholics who've been on the sidelines of reproductive justice to step forward. I know from experience that this is a significant ask. Catholics who support abortion rights have paid a steep price since the New York Times ad, A Catholic Statement on Pluralism and Diversity, published in October of 1984, in response to John Cardinal O'Connor's denunciation of pro-choice vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro. The virulent reaction of institutional church officials to the signers and the repercussions most of us face instilled fears that linger in many Catholics who support reproductive rights to this day. Professors who publicly, in support of abortion rights, risk their jobs at Catholic institutions, nuns, whom many see as the most credible Catholic voices since the clergy are in disrepute, include women who support reproductive freedom. When nuns help pregnant people get needed medical care, they can expect negative consequences from the hierarchs. Medical workers are in a bind when they work in Catholic facilities that do not permit them to practice as they see fit. I suspect that ecclesial disobedience is in many Catholics' futures. Weigh these risks against one young girl who's forced to give birth against her will and her parents' better judgment, and I trust Catholics who support abortion rights will step up now, even if they never have before. I predict they will be emboldened, not shut down by the Supreme Court. My white skin and educational and economic privilege demand a full-throated theo-political response, not a handout at a baby shower, as the bishops suggest. If progressive Catholics can lobby for a just budget against nuclear war and in favor of immigration, then we can get serious about legislative and elective strategies that respect pregnant people's personhood and a right to decide about their own bodies. One reason for the current debacle is that many Catholics who are on the progressive and anti-racism, climate justice, and economic issues have chosen not to risk their touchstones with orthodoxy on abortion. By passing over reproductive justice as if it weren't a crucial part of the common good, they fail to recognize that prohibiting abortion is racist and that consequences fall most heavily on the poorest of the poor. Nor can groups claim an intersectional analysis that doesn't include immigrants who get pregnant against their wishes, among the many who are without means to make choices. There's no skimming over the hard issues, even when we disagree. Some Catholics are responsible for this moral emergency and nightmare scenarios that will be lived most intensely by young Black and brown people. Others need to live up to our efforts now for those who are pregnant and before the same forces undo more constitutional rights. It's probably too late to sway the court on this matter. But the deeply dangerous legal analysis leaves the judicial door wide open to overturn cases allowing birth control and marriage equality, which the same anti-abortion Catholic bishops oppose. These are two perspectives, religious perspectives on the ongoing debate about abortion, about trans lives, and what the implications this will be for further rights that we take for granted will be exposed now and will be dangerous in the future. We know what our own denomination's opinions are on these matters. And like so many Unitarians, the thing that we do the best is to show up. So show up at the protests, the rallies, and show up where it matters most to help the women that are in need the most. Now it's time for our offering. We offer the gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by your giving. We need each other, and in times of trial, we need each other even more. You can mail your gift, if that is what you prefer, to the church at Post Office Box 494, Alton, Illinois 62002. Or you can give electronically by searching for First Unitarian Church on the Give Liffey app or by using PayPal on our website. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. Thank you, Mom. Let's join together now in our offertory prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Our last hymn today is number 318 in the Gray Hymnal. We would be one. It's number 318 in the Gray Hymnal. Please stand if you are willing and able. You may be seated now. Time for announcements. The only announcement I have here is that May 22nd, we will develop a right relationship covenant after church, so please plan to attend either in person or virtually. Does anybody else have any other announcements that we need?
For Saturday, will be on Memorial Day weekend, actually. If anyone wants to have distribution of personal care items to those in need, if anyone would like to volunteer for this service that would be for the community, just let me know. I'll be on it.
Great, thanks, Paula. Oh,
as a reminder, there's a memorial service for Bob Campbell. He was a friend of the military of our church, and we set up there for our
today. Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no other announcements, then we will extinguish our chalice. So please join me in the unison words for extinguishing the chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. Our benediction today. It is possible to live in peace. If someone with courage and vision can rise to lead in nonviolent action, the winter of despair can, in the twinkling of an eye, be turned into the summer of hope. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence is not a garment to put on and off at will. Its a seat is in the heart, and it must be an inseparable part of our being. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence, which is a quality of the heart, cannot come by an appeal to the brain. It is a plant of slow growth, growing imperceptibly but surely. It is possible to live in peace. If a single person achieves the highest kind of love, it will be sufficient to neutralize the hate of millions. It is possible to live in peace. If we are to reach real peace in this world, if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children. It is possible to live in peace. The future depends on what we do in the present. It is possible to live in peace. Thanks to everyone for coming today. Have a wonderful week. Thank you.